Welcome back everyone to the program and the fourth bonus episode. In this one we're going to have a quick look at what Microsoft SQL accreditations are all about. So the aim of this episode is of course to introduce you to Microsoft SQL accreditations, just so you have an idea of what they're all about in case you want to go about getting one yourself. First thing we're going to look at then is the different levels of the courses involved. You've got the fundamental, which is like the beginning, intermediate and the advanced levels. Don't worry about those acronyms, we'll talk about those in a moment. We're then going to look at some study materials, how to go about getting your hands on those, and we're then going to wrap the course up with a look at what the exam structure is like. So before we begin having a look at the levels, let's have a quick look at what accreditations are all about. First of all, we'll have a quick look at some of the benefits of accreditation. Now if you've gone onto any sites, they'll have quite a lot of information about how the accreditations give you loads of different benefits and huge percentages on increased employability with employers, etc., etc. Now I've found in my experience that all the people I've worked with on SQL, I'm probably the only person to have done Microsoft accreditations, especially to the high level that I've done them to. I've worked with people who have had over 10 years experience in SQL Server, writing reports, etc. So they are simply not interested at their stage. They've got so much experience, they don't need to prove their qualifications. Other than that, some people have done programming courses at university, so this is not really beneficial for them. And other people who I've worked with have done SQL for anything between 6 months and a year in some of the more junior roles, and none of them have really gone for accreditations. Whether they will in the future, maybe they will, maybe they won't, but it is something to consider. I've found that gaining accreditations while you're working, the two enhance each other. So you'll learn a lot from studying on the course, which will help your work, and of course while you work you'll be learning stuff on that, which will then help you on the course. But then again, it's entirely up to you if you want to go down this road. Some of the benefits though is of course the proof of skills. It does certify you to a degree. You do get a certificate once you pass any of the accreditation exams, so that is a written proof for you. And yes, employers, future people interview can see that on your CV and see, right, this person is committed to self-study and improving their SQL skills, and they've got the qualifications to prove it. Now even on your CV, if you started a course but haven't passed it yet, you can still put it down on your CV and just say ongoing, and when you do pass it, you can then have it in your CV, put the date in there. As it's a Microsoft certified course, it is a recognized worldwide standard. So someone can't say to you, turn around and say your MTA is not applicable because it's not a recognized standard. Microsoft recognizes Microsoft's own accreditations, so you know that you're good there. It also improves your base knowledge, because learning on the job can only take you so far, and it does give you a more sort of broader perspective, because what they do on the accreditation is try to teach you everything they can about a specific subject. Obviously, if you're doing a fundamental course, an MTA type level of course, they'll teach you a lot of the basics, but they will cover quite a large range of information. More than what a specialized course, which is focusing in one specific area, will actually cover. so they will give you a much improved knowledge on anything and everything, which is great. It also shows your eagerness to develop and improve in your existing database skills and knowledge. As mentioned before, this can be really good to a future employer, so definitely go for that. Right then, let's head on in to a Google search page, and we'll head on in and have a look at what Microsoft has to offer in terms of their current accreditation programs. So in this little Google search, I've typed the following: Microsoft Database Certification Path. Now it can be quite tricky to navigate to where you want to go, because a lot of places are trying to sell you Microsoft qualifications of some sort, but we're going to go straight to the Microsoft site using this little bit here, this little search, and you can see quite a lot of different sort of web links come up. All we're going to do is click on Browse Certifications and Exams. So we've got quite a few popping up, and as you can see on the left, we've got quite a few products to look for here. So let's head on in. We'll click on SQL Server, for example, and see what they have to offer there. Now, you've got different levels as well to look at. So if you want to click on the beginner, for example, and you've got different certification types on top of that. So the MTA, which is the fundamental level, is the Microsoft Technology Associate. So that's the fundamental level itself. The next one along is the MCSE, which is more of an intermediate level, and that's the Microsoft Certified Solutions Associate. Now that's usually the area you aim for when you've got around 2 years of experience under your belt and you want to prove your certifications, prove your SQL skills. You'd probably go for an MCSA. The next level, which is the more advanced one, you're probably looking at the MCSE, which is Microsoft Certified Solutions Expert. That's the top level, and really you should be looking at getting those sort of qualifications when you've got around sort of 4 to 5 years experience, and you've probably dabbled in a lot of different areas within SQL Server itself. But let's have a very quick look at some of the beginner levels. So we'll refine our search. You've got there the MTA Database Fundamentals, and you've got the exam as well. So here you see the award that you get, and this is information on the exam. So let's click on that, and let's see what's going on there. Now, as you can see, the MTA certification will be retired on June 30th, 2022. So at the moment, it's the beginning of February in 2022. So obviously, possibly by the time you do this course and you get to this bonus video, this exam may be retired. Now, this is normal for Microsoft. They normally go through phases where they decommission older exams and they bring newer and more updated ones into the mix for you to do. However, they tend to follow the same pattern where you've got the fundamentals and all the other exams, MCSE, all these certifications. They have a little bit of a spiel up here telling you what it's all about. So this is a great place to start if you'd like to get into the technology field of databases. Then tells you a little bit on what it does, what it's all about, and also a little bit of note there saying that they do not qualify you for the MCE, which is the Microsoft Certified Professional, and it isn't classed as a prerequisite for the MCSA, MCS, or the MCSD, which is a Microsoft Certified Solutions Developer certification. So it's basically a standalone database fundamentals sort of foundation course, but it could be a really good one if you want to sort of broaden your knowledge about databases and how they function. If you scroll down a little bit, it'll give you information on the exam as well. So obviously you've got to do that exam, you've then got to pass it, and then you get your certification. Now in some of the other higher level exams, the intermediate and the advanced, you could be required to do 2, 3 or even more exams in order to get that certification. What it then lists for you is the skills measured. So it talks about these different areas and they sort of give you the core areas that the course will focus on. Now if we look back and we look at what we've covered in the course, we of course created database objects. Quite a lot there, a lot of stored procedures, views, tables, databases, etc. So you'll probably have a good knowledge of that area going forward. How to manipulate data, we did a lot of that with our select statements, etc. Understanding data storage and administrating a database. These are 2 areas, plus the one at the beginning, where you might think, actually, I'd like to get a bit more information in those areas, just to give yourself a more well-rounded idea of databases. From there, you can download the certification skills outline. Let's click on that quickly. And there you go. It tells you exactly the area that they focus on, the amount that they cover, which is 20 to 25% of the course, and they also list out exactly what they're going to do in a little bit more detail. So you'll be learning all these key concepts, DDL, DML, etc., what the difference between those are, and of course moving on to the next one. We did a lot of this in the course. Again, we're looking at 20 to 25% of the course, and in choosing different data types, understanding tables, how to create them. We've been through all that, we've done all that, so you'll be a pro by that stage. And you can scroll up and have a look at all the different areas they cover. Certain ones have a little bit less focus, some a little bit more focus, etc. Obviously we've got selecting data, and you learned all about the insert, the update and the delete of data. So as you can see, while we've covered a few of the bits and pieces in this course on the Start Into SQL, if you wanted to learn a bit more about how to actually administer a database and other bits and pieces about core database concepts, you can always jump onto this exam or something similar, because this one is going to expire pretty soon. So that's all you need to do in order to get your certification, is sit that exam, database fundamentals, and you'll get your certificate. Now clicking on the exam will take us to the exam web page, and this is where you can actually schedule the exam yourself. From there you can select the 2 different areas, 2 different companies which tend to handle the exam itself. I've used Pearson VUE in the past. I've never actually used Certiport, but with Pearson VUE I haven't had any issues. There's always test centers locally to where I was, or I had to do 15-20 minute drive to get there, and it's all good at the end of the day. Obviously wherever you are, you can change your currency. Obviously we're in Australia here, but it's all still done in US dollars. If we go to the UK, for example, you can see it's 87 pounds. Now be aware that this does not include the tax in your country, so you'll need to add that one on there. So all you need to do is click on the link there, whichever one. So you'd be a non-student interested in technology, so if you're keen, go for that one, and then click on that, and that will take you to the relevant site where you can book your course, find the course center, pay for your course, and off you go. Now, that is all about the courses on offer. We're going to head on back quickly to just show you some of the different levels. That's your beginner. Here's the different roles it covers. You'll be looking at developer or data analyst. We'll have a very quick look through the others. So the MCSA. MCSA, this is the one I received. This is one I went for back in the day. If we click on that one, you can see that there's quite a few exams required. So 1, 2, 3 exams for that one. And you can see the amount of skills measured. So normally you're looking at a 1 to 2 years sort of minimum before you went for that. And they tested all different areas in data warehousing, querying, which fortunately we've done a lot of in this course, and database administration. So a wide range of skills that they assess in order for you to get your MCSA, which is quite high level. It's marketed as only an intermediate course, but it is a very high level itself. Last but not least, we have the MCSE, which is the top. Data Management and Analytics. If we click on that, you can see even more prerequisites going on before you can even attempt the course itself. So fortunately, I got all 3 exams passed, and I got my MCSA in SQL Server 2012-14, and then I passed one of these elective exams. Can't remember which one I went for, but it's one of the ones in here. Could have already been retired, but I sat that exam and off we went. Managed to pass it, and I got my MCSA and my MCSE, which is great news. So that's it pretty much for the exam side of things. Let's have a very quick look at what resources are out there for you to use when actually studying for your exam. So as you can see, they have the exam number here, 70464. Let's head on back quickly to our database fundamentals. You can see the number there, 98-364. Now that is the number for the Microsoft exam. That's the version number. All we need to do is copy that, fire up a new web page, paste it in there, and you can see already options start to come up. You've got practice tests, you've got the exam books, etc. Let's head on in there, and as you can see, there's a lot of places offering preparation courses. As you can see, there's Udemy, link to their site there, and Udemy is a very well known site for a variety of different courses. Let's head on in there, and we're looking predominantly for that course, so you can then add it to the cart. Obviously it gives you a lot of other varieties. You can see the price there and all the other courses on there to help you pass your exams. 998-364. So you can have a quick look at that, pay for that little course, and off you go. Now, as well as that, if you head on to some of these other places, have a look and see what they have to offer. But when it comes to the actual material itself, I like to head on in to Amazon. Head on in there and just simply once again paste that in there. Let's see what it comes back with. There you have it, database administration, fundamentals, etc, etc. So there's quite a few books there that you can choose from. $37. That's the exam focus study, so you might want to buy the book itself, whether you buy it on Kindle, download it, and you might possibly want to get some focus study notes and some exam practice notes as well. So just check your different options have a look at what they have to offer, and then simply take it from there. Okay then, so that's just a really quick way to search for some study materials. You're looking at possibly getting one of the key books that are published by Microsoft and one of the authorized authors, and perhaps quite a lot of study tests as well. That gives you a sort of flavor about what questions will be asked in the exam itself. Speaking of the exam, let's have a quick talk about what the test is like. So exam structure then. Normally when you reach the study center, you'll have booked a specific time. Make sure you get there in plenty of time. Just compose yourself. You need to sign in, do all the usual bits and pieces of admin, and then they'll take you into a room with a whole load of computers, and they'll sit you down, get you prepared, and you'll then start the course. Now the exam itself is all online, and it tends to be a lot of multiple choice questions. I'd say probably about 70 to 80% are multiple choice, with about 4 different options to choose from. You also get some sort of questions where they have a blank area and they have a whole lot of text boxes with writing in it, and they ask you to grab the boxes you think are applicable to build the answer to the question, drag them in, also into the right order, and that's pretty much it for that one. On the odd occasion, they do actually ask you to write a little bit of code. So you'll have a box there where you can type your code, and there'll be a pause button where you can actually click it, and it'll check the syntax of your code to see that it'll actually run. It won't generate any result, or it won't tell you whether you've got the right answer or not. It'll just check to see if your code actually works. So there may be a few questions like that thrown in, but the majority of them will be multiple choice. Now, the exams themselves are simply pass or fail. You've got, I think it's 700 points out of 1,000 possible points is the pass mark for the exams. Well, they were in all the exams I sat in the past. So as long as you get 70% of your questions right, you've passed. So it doesn't matter if you get all right or if you only got 70% right. A pass is a pass, and you have got your certification. So that wraps up bonus episode 4. Thank you everyone for joining me on the course, and I hope you had as much fun doing it as I had putting it together, and I also wish you all the very best for your future SQL careers.